How are you?
I'm good.
I keep having girls introduce themselves because I don't pay attention to the fact that I've already written the name on the podcast and you can see you on YouTube. So just
in case.
Just in case.
This is your very first time ever encountering me. My name is Casey Calvert.
Hi, Casey.
Hi.
So are we going to talk about what we're going to do today? Or can we talk about that later, maybe?
Let's talk about that at the end.
Okay. So let's start with, how did you get turned on to BDSM? Like, what was the thing that clicked and you were like, this is what I want to do?
Like this is what I want to do professionally, or this is just what I want to do?
I want to do, and then we'll figure out the professional part.
Okay. Well, I mean, part of the story is that it happened at the same time.
Okay.
But you know how a lot of people have like the moment in their life where they're like, oh, when I was this age, this thing happened, and now as an adult, I find this thing sexually arousing.
Right.
I don't have one of those.
Nothing.
I can't think of any one particular thing that I can pinpoint to be like, oh, this caused this.
Right.
It's just been there as long as I can remember.
So do you just, as long as you could remember, you've always had like some kind of BDSM feeling?
Yeah, my mom told me once that she remembers me masturbating when I was 4. And what I remember is that I would lay on top of like a wiffle ball bat.
Right.
And I would pretend I was trapped to it.
Okay. I've heard a lot of people talk what they have these fantasies, and it's the same thing. They're like, I knew when I was really little that I liked to be tied up, or you'd play cops and robbers or whatever the scenario was. And there was that one person who always said, I'm the one who's going to get tied up. I'm the bad person who gets locked up.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy.
Right.
Yes, put me in the cage, I'm the bad guy.
So there was never a thing. It was just, as long as you know, that's where it's always been.
Yeah, when it was, kid games and it was I'm the bad guy, put me in the cage, I wasn't doing that because I was curious or exploring things or like, oh, maybe I'll like this. It was like, oh no, yes, do this. This is what I want. And like I knew that it wasn't like when we played cops and robbers, I got tied up and then I was into it. It was I asked to be tied up in so many words. Okay.
So as far as a profession, like what was the moment when you were like, this is what I want to do?
I at some point in time, came to the conclusion that porn was a way to do these things in a safe environment.
Okay.
And I don't really remember exactly how I came to that conclusion, but I feel like I was right. It's like, oh, these are the people who do this professionally. These are the best people at the thing.
Right.
These are the people I want to do this with. So I came to that conclusion preteen.
Okay.
Maybe. And then started doing it when I was in college and was like, oh, you were right. You do like this. This is good. But I started exploring, I started fetish modeling as a way to explore my sexuality.
Okay.
Like it wasn't a way to make money. It wasn't anything other than like, well, these are the things I want to do. These are the best people at these things. I'm going to go do this with them. The fact that they are writing me checks at the end of the day is completely ancillary to the fact that I'm getting off on what I'm doing.
Right. So you started, though, as a fetish model. You didn't come into this as I'm doing porn and I like fetish. You started fetish modeling. I
started as fetish model. I was one of those obnoxious fetish models that's like, I'm not doing porn. There's no sex. It's just fetish.
Yeah. I feel like that's every one of them. That's how, when I came into this, I was dating a fetish model.
Yeah.
And she went and worked at Kink, and it was this big thing that, ooh, I'm going to get finger banged. Like, he's going to put his finger in me. Not because there used to be, you were a fetish model, you could have a vibrator held on you, and there was cupping or slapping, but there was none of this.
No insertion.
Right, and that was fetish model opposed to porn star.
Yes, I was the fetish model. I was totally okay with toys, toy insertion, but no contact with any other performers. So I wouldn't do any kind of fluid exchange Even when like people would be like, oh, can we do like 2 girls tied up and make them kiss each other? It's like, nope, I don't do that. I don't kiss. I don't do any fluid exchange. It's like that was my limit.
Right. And I feel like the penetration with the toys, I think that's a common thing too. And then all of a sudden one day, but I mean, we've got models that are still around that are now porn girls who started as fetish models the same way. And they were like, no. Okay. I will.
Okay. Yeah, it was very much, it was no. And it was also like the stigma very internalized of like, I don't do porn. I'm not going to do porn. Porn is bad.
Right.
I'm just a fetish model. It's just art. I'm just taking off my clothes for art. Exactly. And for exploration. I'm not making porn.
Right.
I feel really guilty that I like was very public about the fact that I wasn't making porn. Like I was awful.
I feel like there's still a separation though. I feel like there's still the fetish model, the cam model, and then the porn star. And
but we're all sex workers.
Yeah. All of us.
And that's the thing is I would have sex worker wasn't really common parlance when I was fetish modeling, but
right.
If I was fetish modeling now and someone were like, you're a sex worker, I'd be like, I am not a sex worker.
You are full of shit.
No,
I am. Me in that category.
Don't you put me in that box. That is not what I am doing. It was very plainly what I was doing.
Right. And I think that's the same. A lot of people misconstrue that because Disco, he has had people tell him, well, you're not a sex worker. And he's like, but I do the camera, the sex. I do the thing, and I'm around the sex, and I get the fluids, and I get all of these things that are happening to me.
People squirt on my feet.
Yeah, like I'm covered in as many juices, if not more sometimes, in the performers. But there's a certain group that he read an article or something that are like, no, you're not a sex worker because you're not actually doing it. But of course, that same group says, I'm not a sex worker because my dick stays in my pants.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So there's that. All right. Let's go. We'll go to these, and then we'll just shoot the shit.
Then we'll just talk about stuff, yeah.
And if we get to talking and don't get to all of these, that's fine, too.
Yeah, I agree.
What's your favorite thing about BDSM?
This is a very open-ended question.
Okay.
I feel like I could answer this in a lot of different ways. I'm deciding which answer I want to go with.
Okay.
I guess... I don't know, I guess my favorite thing about doing BDSM is just the way it makes me feel.
Okay.
Which is good.
Right. What's your favorite thing about the adult industry?
I like that I get to do things. And the things can be the jobs that I'm doing, and the things can be the people that I'm interacting with, and the things can be that I get to be an independent contractor and take vacations when I want to.
Right.
So it's just it's freedom for me. I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Right. So you're your own boss.
I'm my own boss, yeah.
Right. All right, this is loaded, and you can be as reserved as you want or as open as you want.
Okay.
Because, I don't give a shit.
I am ready.
What's your least favorite thing about the adult industry?
I have many least favorite things about the adult industry.
There's a big pile down there.
It's a loaded question, but only because, like, the adult industry is amazing, and the community is overall amazing, and my job is overall amazing. But there's a lot of things about it that are not amazing.
Right.
Right now, because this answer changes every day, or multiple times a day maybe. Right now, no, because maybe it just changed in my head right now. Fine, I'm going to go with 2. Thing 1 is that this business is kind of like high school in that it's a popularity contest.
Very much so.
And there's the cool kids, and there's the punk kids, and there's the goth kids, and there's the jocks, and just like in high school, where I didn't really have one group of people that I fit into. I feel like in adult as a whole, I don't have one group of people that I fit into.
Right.
Because I do all of these different things. I'm not a fetish girl anymore because I shoot all of this romantic content, but I'm not just a girl performer. But I'm not, I'm not this like crazy hardcore fake ass gonzo performer.
And not just an anal girl.
And I do all. So there's like not. People have a hard time putting me in the little box.
Right.
But the industry kind of thrives on little boxes.
Right.
So that's a thing. The other thing is that some days the stigma affects me more than other days.
Okay.
Some days I can't help but feel like, oh, well, the world thinks I'm disgusting. I don't think I'm disgusting.
Right.
I don't regret my decisions. But that stranger over there walking down the street probably thinks I'm disgusting. And how am I supposed to exist in the world space as this person who people don't like?
Especially when you become recognizable, like you, because it's not like you, like I am on camera, but I'm not at a level that you or most of you girls are, where you can walk down the street and they're like, hey, that's Casey Calvert. And you can be looking your worst, garbage can dumped on your head.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, oh, hey, I jerk off to your porn.
Right. Someone recognized me at Disney the other day. I'm pretty sure. No one, very, very rarely do people come up to me and say like, hi, are you Casey Calvert?
Right.
Because my theory anyway is that if you are a porn fan and you go up to a woman at a grocery store and say, hi, are you Casey Calvert? And that woman is someone who looks like me but is not me.
Right.
That could go poorly for you.
Right.
So people don't So people don't often just like explicitly say like, I jerk off to you. It's always like do I know you from somewhere? Or did we go to high school? Did we go to high school together? Where do I know you from? Have I seen you around here?
Do you think they do it that way because they don't want to admit that they jerk off? Or do you think there's ever a genuine person that's like, you look really familiar, and if you were to say it, they'd be like, oh fuck,
I
that's
do
really
think
awkward.
that every once in a while there is a person that's genuinely like, wow, she looks really familiar. Where the fuck do I know her from?
Right.
But I think most of it is they are deliberately saying it to get me to admit it so that they can then metaphorically take out their dick.
Fucking people. I had one that came up to me at the grocery store, and I was I think I've told the story before. There's in the produce section, there's always that spot that has like the already pre-minced garlic and all of the weird, odd things that don't have a place anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I was over there squatting down looking at something, and then suddenly this guy walks up on me.
Okay.
And he's like, hey. And he starts talking. And I stand up because I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Don't walk up on me like this. And I stand up and kind of don't really square off and put the dukes up, but I'm like, I'm grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I just learned so much from you. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And he was like, you've taught me so much. I was like, are you talking about internet stuff, man? And he was like, yeah, from the internet. I was like,
are you talking about internet stuff?
Yeah, because I mean, it's you've taught me so much. I was like, I don't know. So who knows?
You've taught me so much is an interesting euphemism.
Right. Yeah.
Although, I mean, I feel like that perhaps you have actually taught him some stuff, but I like the idea of like, oh yeah, you've taught me some stuff.
No, it's really bad. He's sitting there. And I was telling, we had something happen the other night. The wife and I, we were out to dinner, and there was a couple there, and the couple left, and we had interacted with them. It was a sushi bar. And after the interaction, they left, and when we got ready to go, our check had been paid for.
Oh.
I was like, this is kind of cool. It's awkward, but it's cool because we don't really know them. They don't know us. We've run into them a couple times because we frequent the same place. So afterwards, she was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. I feel awkward. I feel kind of weird. I feel not necessarily violated, but like there's this weird thing going on. I was like, multiply that times 10, take your clothes off, and imagine instead of them buying you dinner, they told you they jerk off to you. That's my life. So, and she was like, fuck, and it kind of like put it in perspective for her.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just me. I can't even imagine what it would be like in your shoes or any of the girls.
I mean, sometimes people buy me things and that is nice.
I mean, but
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm 6'4" and I'm burly and I'm a fairly big or bigger, intimidating looking person. I'm not someone who I don't feel like I'm approachable enough until, of course, hey, I have a lot
at the grocery store.
At the grocery store. But I'm also not someone that I don't have to worry as much as you do about someone coming up and putting my hands on, like I talked about this with Lance Hart recently. I can get an Uber and I never have to worry about whether that person driving is going to fuck with me.
Sure.
I mean, there's always going to be what if, but it's not as likely as it is when you get in it by yourself or any other female gets in there by themselves.
Right, but that has nothing to do with sex work. That just has to do with me being a girl and relatively petite.
Right. But I'm saying as far as the sex work goes,
It just compounds it.
Right. Because now we've seen you naked and you must like to fuck anybody anyway.
Mm-hmm. You must be a horny slut all the time.
Right. That's what I say all the time. I was like, a lot of people feel that because you're a porn performer that all you want to do is fuck. And as soon as you're not fucking anymore, you go hide in a corner and wait for someone to call you.
Right. You disappear into the basement and then it's time to do the scene. You get plucked out and put on set and then you go back into the basement.
Right. Just go sit and wait.
You just wait. You wait there till the job comes. Yeah.
Hey, fucky. You want to go fucky? Come on. You want to go do it? Let's go.
I have had to take Ubers to set a couple of times. I will do whatever I can to avoid to or from set in an Uber. I will take them sometimes, like if I'm going out and I know I'm going to drink, I'll take an Uber.
Right.
But like the to or from set thing, so like here I am, I'm in sweatpants and I have no makeup on, but I have a giant suitcase.
Right.
Like it can only, there's only so many places I could be. Oh, and you're going to drive me to this house in the valley? Like there's only so many places I could be going.
There was, I think it was when I went for the Derelict. Was it? Yeah, because that was the last time I flew into Burbank. Mm-hmm. And this person picks me up and they start to drive. And as we started talking, he asked, what do you do? And again, I'm safe. I feel safer saying what I do.
Right.
And I told him and he was like, oh my God, I'm surprised you're not going to this house. And I was like, what house? And he specifically started telling me details. God. And it's the same house that when Disco shoots for the other director that he shoots for, because they're always in the same one.
I know exactly which house we're talking about.
And he was like, we go there all the time. He's like, and I always wondered about that. And I was like, did you really think that many strange people with big suitcases? He's like, no, I'm not stupid. I couldn't confirm it until now. And I was like, that's probably where, if it's the same place, that's where you're going.
I'm certain it is.
Especially now that
there all the time.
Yeah. As soon as I said, and it's about a 45-minute drive outside of Burbank.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, it would take you about 45 minutes.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So they know. And
they know. Yeah, they know. And I'm sure the majority of them are fine. I just really don't want to end up in the one with the person who's not fine.
Right. I don't think anybody does, but.
Yeah, no, of course not.
I don't think I don't have it out here. I was going to say, I've got this thing that I carry. It's a keychain.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like this tool type keychain. And I'll show it to you on my desk. It's as soon as you see it, you're like, that's a fucking weapon. But I've been through the airport several times with it.
And never gone, yeah.
They've looked, I had one person hold it up and look, and they're like, is this yours? I was like, it's a tool. That's all it is.
It's just a multi-tool.
Yeah, fuck off. All right, so what do you like to do in your spare time? When you're not making porn, and you're not playing privately, what do you like to do?
What do I do? The half joke, half real answer to this question is that I like to take naps. But that is what I like to do on my days off.
Like a professional napper?
I like to take I'm very excited to take a nap in the afternoon.
Like, is it a big nap or like a power nap?
No, it's an hour and a half nap.
So that significant.
It's not like a 5-hour nap, but it's not a 20-minute nap.
Right. I can't do it. I'm not good at it. I've never been good. I've tried.
I feel like people are either nappers or not nappers.
Right.
And like there is no blurring that line. It's like either you're good at it or you are not good at it.
Yeah, I'm not good. I sit there when we have time. Becky will go and she's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and take a nap, and she'll go up and she'll go lay down, and I'll sit there and I'll do things, or I'll watch TV, or I'll play video games. And then when I'm like, fuck, you know what? I think I'm ready to go. Maybe I'm ready for a nap. She wakes up and it's been 2 hours, and then we have to go about our day. So professional napper.
Yeah, I
now
like
you guys
napping.
know. What are some other things that you do besides making porn, like when you're not napping? Because I know you're super intelligent. I've talked about you before on the podcast about how you've written and you've done a lot of different things, and like you're a very educated woman. So like, what are other things?
my non-adult work things. Although sometimes this line gets blurred and has been blurring more recently. But I write essays, but I have been working on screenplays. And I am working on my house.
Okay.
I am renovating my very old house and trying to fix it up. And that takes all my time.
Now, when you say renovate, are you talking like you like to throw some extra paint on? And are you talking about like you're doing plumbing and construction and building? Like, are you doing like...
I don't do the dangerous things.
Well, what do you call dangerous though?
Things like electrical.
Okay.
I don't really feel so safe doing because I could die.
Right.
And I don't really know anything about plumbing at all.
Okay.
And I have a contractor who I work with, and so like the bathroom upstairs is about to get tiled.
Okay.
And so like a professional tile installer guy is going to come and do the tile, because I could do it myself, or I could pay someone to do it and it'll be done infinitely better.
Right. So you're going to pay
So
someone.
I'm going to pay someone to do it.
Right.
But I'll paint. I will do like wood projects.
Okay.
So I'll like refinish antiques and like stain, like strip and sand and stain and reseal wood things. And my house has a lot of original woodwork, so like that's a thing.
But the original, especially with the older stuff, it's got all those grooves in there. So that's not like you just get a regular sander.
Yeah, no, it's a pain in the ass.
And then the stripping, that's kind of dangerous. I mean, that's some serious chemicals that rips that shit off.
It's a wear a mask, but I don't feel like
electrocuted.
I'm not going to get electrocuted. Gotcha. Exactly. I'm not going to accidentally touch something and die, or I'm going to make a mistake and then burn the house down.
Right. Or the house burns down when you're not there.
Yeah, but, yeah. Well, yes, right. I've wired something incorrectly, and at some point, it does I don't even know the words, but it does the little sparky thing, and then the house catches on fire. And that would be bad.
It's true. See? Look at that. Talented. I like that. When you're doing stuff like that, what's one of the more favorite things that you've done as far as like the overhaul of like redoing? Would it be like trim work? Would it be a certain piece of furniture?
In my old house, I made all of my kitchen shelves. So we did like IKEA cabinets for the ground cabinets with the countertop on top, and then we did open shelves for up top.
Right.
And made them all out of lumber and out of pipe.
Oh shit!
And
so they're industrial.
They were super industrial.
Okay.
And so I did, like, we spray painted all the pipe and hung it up, and all the wood had to be stained, and I made my own wood stain. I looked up how you make natural wood stain to get a more like naturally aged effect.
Right.
So it was this process of putting steel wool into vinegar, and the steel wool degrades in the vinegar, and then you use it to stain the wood. And
okay.
I did all of these experiments because sometimes you add coffee grounds and it gets darker, or you add tea and it can get redder. And like I did like a whole experiment of like, which one do I want to use?
Right.
Then I stained them all and sealed them all. And it was very much a learning process because it was the first time I had ever done anything like that. And they came out great.
Is this the one that you would do? It was the house prior to this, I think.
Yeah.
And you would go out in the parking lot and like naked or in a bikini.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that fact about you. I don't know if you told me or if you put it on social media.
It was on the internet.
Okay.
So yeah, so like me building these kitchen shelves was on the internet.
Okay. Maybe
but also it was hot. It was summer.
And why not?
And I didn't want to get tan lines.
There you go.
And I was in a place where like it was not a big deal for me to do this naked in the yard.
Right.
So why not? I had shoes on.
See, you were safe. Mm-hmm. I got shamed recently for tan lines. I went to a dermatologist, and and then you can't go in and say, "Hey, I'm here. I've got this mole. I want it burned off, and we're done."
No, they say, "Let me look at your entire body."
Yeah. So you just
stand there, and they look at every inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a woman she was a woman of color. I think she may have been Latin, but she had a very nice, beautiful tan skin. And she pulls my sleeve up, and she's like, "You're supposed to be this color. Pull up your shirt." And I pulled it up, and she's like, "Let me see." And she's like making me expose more and more of my body until she finds the whitest part of me. And she's like, "That's what color you're supposed to be all over. You're not supposed to be this brown."
You're not supposed to have this other color. Yeah.
And after she shamed me, I looked at her and I was like, "Well, it must be nice. Must be nice." And she laughed at me and said, "I'm serious. Start using more sunblock." But it was probably...
yeah, I feel like living here.
You have to. I've got the face stuff that I use. It's like a 50 SPF or whatever. But I have gotten to where if I walk anymore during the summer, besides just from my car to the office or in and out really quick, I spray myself Because if not, and even with doing like 30, because I do, I mean, I guess now I have to embrace my honkiness, my Caucasianness, my whatever it is, my red. I feel like I'm getting redder the clearer.
I like to call it my fish belly.
Fish belly? Because you can mildly transparent.
Reflective white.
Reflective white.
I don't know. You don't have lots of girls who are pale. They end up being a little bit transparent.
Right.
And I'm not a little transparent, but I end up a little bit reflective. So like if I'm doing a shoot and it's me and someone who is more tan, and they light for the person who is more tan, the lights will often bounce off of my skin. And I just reflect back. So it's my shiny fish belly.
Do you remember Claire Adams?
Yeah.
She was probably the milkiest white person I've ever met. And hers was like a deep white. It wasn't like the transparent.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like you and I are. Or me more so than anything. I'll have to show you when we're not recording. It's not something I need the public to see. But she, like I said, it was just this deep, solid white. Like every time she got naked, I was like, I've never seen anything that white. Like
your
sheets
skin
don't
is
even
so
get that
like
white.
perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So there's that.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. What do we do? Oh, here we go. Is BDSM therapeutic for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Sometimes it's just sex, although I feel like I'm saying that. And then I feel like a lot of people who are completely vanilla would also say that sex is therapeutic for them.
Right.
But like sometimes it's very much of just like, oh, I'm horny. This is the thing I want to do.
Right.
Oh, this is fun. I am horny. I'm going to get off on this. And sometimes it's a release for sure.
Do you ever go into a situation or have a situation going on where you're like, I'm stressed and I'm kind of, I need this release? Do you seek out doing like the play?
I used to often.
Okay.
And maybe just work changed it.
From getting it more often?
No, just, I mean, part of it is that I started doing porn and could not show up to work with bruises. And so
Which
I actually...
fuck the regular porn people, just for the record. Fuck you guys, because bruises are beautiful. Sorry, go ahead.
What actually ended up happening was that I got to play a lot less.
Right.
And so I think in the process of, when I do get to play, it's really special. That it went from this, like, this can be a thing I need on a relatively regular basis to, like, this is a special occasion.
Right.
It needs to be special. This is a couple of times a year thing and not a once a week kind of thing.
Right. So you kind of had to find different ways of dealing or getting the release because you couldn't do it the way you needed to.
Yeah.
Because to get the release, you can't do and I'm not discounting what we do, but there's sometimes you can't go as hard as you like.
Correct.
So therefore you can't get the release.
Correct.
Motherfuckers.
It was one of the like when I was deciding whether or not I was going to do porn, on the pros and cons list, it was one of the biggest cons. It was like, I'm not going to be able to play like I want to all the time.
Right.
It was like very high up on the list of like, this is a bad thing.
Right.
Like this negatively impacts my decision.
And that sucks.
It does suck.
But you also, going back to the skin tone, I mean, you historically, most of the time I found that people who have fairer skin seem to mark easily, and it's not so much the case with you. You don't mark that easily.
No, again, my skin is weird. I'm not the kind of fair-skinned person who goes out into the sun for 5 minutes and turns bright red.
Right.
I go out into the sun and I tan. Like I've never had a peely kind of sunburn.
Really? You know how fucking lucky you are?
Very.
Because fuck, that's all that happens to me. Like if we say sun about 5 more times, I'm gonna get a burn.
Get a burn. Yeah.
And it's instant. Like I can walk out in 20 minutes because sometimes I'll go out on the weekends and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out. I'm gonna do this thing in my truck and I'm gonna be in and out of the truck. It shouldn't be a big deal. And I go back in and Becky's like, what the fuck did you do? And I was like, I just did the thing. And she's like, you've seen my truck.
Red. Yeah.
She's like, I'm as red as the truck.
Yeah.
I look like a fucking lobster. And then my summer's ruined.
I don't really burn. I turn tan and I have, like, if you look up my fetish modeling work, when I was living in Florida, I tanned.
Okay.
And so I was very tan. And I used to be like very tan and very olive. So now I'm just the pale version of olive.
Which is just pale
So
olive.
like I'm not red, I'm green.
Right. That's the way Becky is. Becky has more of the olive complexion, whereas I get too excited and I just get red all over. Like I was noticing I was editing the well, I guess when people hear this, it'll be last week's update on the podcast. And I've got these spots on the side of my neck, and
because you're getting flushed.
Well, and it's I think I got it from my mom, because as my mom got older, she had these red spots that just stayed around her neck. And of course I'm a little flab here. I'm the stereotypical, if you look at a chart online, at every place that becomes a problem place for men, I have it. I have the fat neck. And I do. I mean, everyone's like, dude, you get this massive neck. And I'm like, well, there's a layer of fat around it. I mean, it's a big neck anyway. But then I've got the hair, and then the above the dick, like all of the places
all of the like, you're getting older places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so and of course I think it doesn't help the redness that's around.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to slowly ease into turtlenecks.
You just do like the very high turtleneck.
Yeah. I'll rock it like The Rock. I'll get me a little gold chain that hangs out. And I've got like 2 fanny packs now, so I'll just embrace the Rock style.
Yeah, it's just an aesthetic. It's just a fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the gray. I can pull it off. I think I got one more, and then we can just go.
Then we'll just talk about stuff.
I'll just randomly talk.
Yeah.
And, so is it common knowledge who you're married to?
That depends on who you ask.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah. It's not as common knowledge as like there's people out there. I don't know. Someone like Danny Daniels comes to mind, and she's very open with her relationship, and he's all over her social media, and they're very much like this couple,
right?
Existing.
They
in
now
the
have their
world.
own podcast.
Right. Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's called Two Onions. I'm shouting you out, bitch. Both of you. I want one back. I want it in return. Go ahead.
So like they're like very like we're a couple, or someone like Caden and Manuel, they're like this porn power couple.
Right.
Like these two people who are in these very elevated positions in the business.
Caden
Cross.
I'm like,
yes, Caden Cross and Manuel Ferrara.
Okay.
So I'm married to Eli Cross.
Okay.
Who is a director. He has been working in adult for a long time. He ran AVN for a while, and then he worked for this company called Sex Z Pictures in the aughts, and was very successful making these very big budget features for them. And now we primarily work together. Right. When I'm not performing, I am often working with him in some capacity.
Okay. How did you guys meet?
The story I like to tell is that we met on Twitter.
Ooh. The
story he likes to tell is that my agent, Mark Spiegler, brought me on a go-see to one of his sets when I was brand new. And I met him then, and I don't remember. And then I went with Spiegler to another set that he was on, and I met him again. Right. And I don't remember.
And that's his story.
That's his story.
Right.
I believe his story. I'm certain it happened when I was brand new in the business. Spiegler took me around to meet everyone, and I met so many people that I don't remember meeting.
Right. Do they still do go-sees?
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not in LA anymore,
yeah,
so I don't.
It's definitely still a thing.
I miss those. It was nice. It's like, hey, come on in. Oh, so and so, and then everybody got naked. Yeah. It was like when you go to a nice steakhouse and they bring out the big tray of meat.
Here's all the new girls. They're going to take their clothes off for you. Now you can look at them, and then you can hire them.
I had one come the first time it ever happened. It was a girl who actually was. She came in solo. Yeah. She contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to come by and meet you." And I was like, "Okay." Cool. And she shows up. And she hands me a nice glossy 8x10 or whatever. Yeah. And I start looking at it, and I turn around to look at someone in the office, and when I look back,
she's naked.
The clothes are coming off, and I'm like, well, what are you doing? She was like, well, I wanted you to see. And I'm like, I got it. I got it right here. It's glossy. I can see it. And she took it all off and showed it, and I was like, fuck, I like go-sees. I want to see more of these.
Yeah, I did a bunch of go-sees, and people still do them. Although I don't know if as frequently. But that also is maybe just I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of new girls who I don't know, and they come and go without me ever even
There's definitely a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. You said earlier that you two work on a lot of projects together.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff do you guys do? Because I know you are doing some directing now, right?
Yeah. So we co-direct for Girls Way.
Okay.
And then I just finished directing a miniseries for Lust Cinema, and he was my DP and shot camera for me. And was also my producer.
And he's been in the industry for 20
something.
20 something. Yeah. He's the person that's my goal. I want to get to where he's at. There's a few of them that are still around that are like been here longer than I have, and I'm like, I need to get to that level.
Yeah.
One day.
He's been in the business for a long time.
And he's a badass. And he's a lucky fucker because he's married to you. So there's that. That's it. That's all I got. You know what? I'm sitting here looking at my notes for the podcast. There's something that we spoke about the last time I saw you, and all I did was make a note.
And do you not remember what the note means?
Oh, I totally do. And when I show it to you, you're going to remember this.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
So I was staying when I went for the Derelict premiere down in L.A., over in L.A., I should say. They had me in a,
that way.
They had me in a hotel, and I don't even remember the name of it now, but it was made to look very schwanky.
Yes, but an older building, a hotel that's been around forever that has recently been hipsterized.
Thank you. That's a good way of putting it. Gentrified.
Yes, it has been gentrified. Yes, it's in like an up and coming neighborhood.
Yeah. You know, guys, you know what that means, right? It's not so safe. But then rich people moved in.
But then rich people moved in. Yeah.
You know, I heard that they're trying to gentrify. Fuck, I completely lost it. It'll come to me later.
Okay.
But there's a part that everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna fuck around over there," and it's not Compton, but it's almost at the same reputation that Compton has. I can't. Well, Inglewood.
Yes,
they're
yes.
trying to gentrify.
They're trying to gentrify. Well, because the Olympics are coming, and that's, I believe, where they're building a lot of the Olympic structures.
I'm curious to see how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see.
Anyway, so did you watch the video?
No, I never found it. I started looking. So what we're talking about is that in the hotel, as after the screening, you and your wonderful husband gave me a ride back to the hotel.
I'm gonna look at the name of the hotel now.
And as we were pulling up, he started telling a story of a woman. What was it? Was the woman in the water tank?
Yes.
And this was in downtown LA. And there was a hotel, and the story is, and you guys apparently, I haven't watched the video yet because I'm
Elisa Lam.
Was
a Lam, a Canadian student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, was recovered from a water tank atop the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles.
The Cecil.
Wait, this is a different story, I think.
But is she in the water tank?
This happened in 2000. This happened in 2013. This can't possibly be as recent as this story is. Oh, no, this is the story. This happened much more recently than I thought it did.
Holy shit, I thought this was a lot older.
I was living in LA when this happened.
I thought this was a lot older.
I thought this was a lot older. Anyway, there's a really, really creepy video of security footage from the elevator of this woman either maybe having a psychotic break or talking to someone who's trying to murder her, or something spooky is going on.
Right, like ghosts or something.
Something weird happens, and then they find this woman dead in the water tank in this hotel because people have started complaining that the water is gross.
When people started to talk, was it that they could smell it or they tasted something was wrong?
They could taste it. Ugh. And this is one of those hotels where there's also apartments, and so these people who lived in this building were like, "Our water is weird. What's going on?"
I think they were still doing that when I was there too.
So maybe. And then they went up to the water tank on the roof, thinking there was like a dead bird or a dead rat in there or something, and instead they found an entire dead person.
But the weird thing is that they had to bring welders to come in because they had to cut the top, because she had to be cut out because there was no physical way for her to be in there.
The hole to get into the water tank was significantly too small for her to get in there. They have no idea how she got in there.
But she was in there.
And she drowned. I just learned from the internet that her cause of death was drowning. So she drowned in the water tank.
So in the footage, so everyone knows the footage, if you just are listening, the footage was that they kept seeing her on the elevator and then she would get off the elevator and you would see her moving around or looking like something scared her, and then she would get back in.
Looking and freaking out.
Right.
Whatever it was, she was very agitated.
And this went on for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then after,
I'm gonna find this video for you.
And then she got off the elevator on, I guess, the top floor. And coincidentally, as far as conspiracy theories go, this just happened to be the one floor that the hallway camera wasn't working. And that was the last anyone had seen of her. But they didn't even start looking at the footage until they found her. Is that right?
I don't know.
I keep forgetting. I need to just bring my laptop and let it sit here. Of course, I think everybody's mostly... It doesn't do so well when you...
Yes. Oh, no. So before they found her body, after her reported disappearance, the LAPD released the footage.
Okay.
Oh, Wikipedia has like a minute-by-minute breakdown of this video.
But you still haven't found the video?
I haven't found the actual video.
What was her name again?
It's either Eliza or Elisa.
Elisa.
Yeah, Lamb.
Lam.
Yes.
There.
Did you find it?
Yep.
It's super spooky.
It's 2 minutes and 27 seconds in
Yeah, that
CBS.
seems about right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the top link when you actually, I just searched for woman dead in water.
Oh, and it says it has no sound.
Video. It has no sound.
Cecil Hotel.
So, yes, the video, I have never seen the video with sound. I believe it has no sound.
Yeah, it just on YouTube it said that doesn't have it. This has got 335,000 views on it.
I'm actually kind of surprised it's not more.
Yeah, this is...
Are you watching it? Are you watching her freak out? Yeah.
She just got on. Yeah, she's trying to fucking hide.
Yeah.
I'll put a link to this below on the YouTube.
It's one of the spookiest things I've ever seen. So like...
And the door won't shut. Well, when she first got in the elevator, she's sitting there and she squats down, and then the doors don't close, and then she's looking out the elevator like waiting for someone, or like she thinks someone's coming to get her.
Mm-hmm.
Open it.
But also she's just behaving very erratically.
Do you think it's psychotic or do you think it's drugs?
I don't know. I have no idea.
This is fucking crazy. Yeah, I'll have to watch the rest of it.
Yeah, it's super...
And this I don't think is the entire thing, because this is I thought it was like she went to different floors.
She does go to... I believe she does go to a different floor. I think eventually she gets back in the elevator.
But she's got the fucking doors are propped open. And I mean, any elevator I've ever been on, you can't hold the doors that long or the fucking thing starts beeping. Like there's an alarm that goes off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that but it's also a really, really old building.
That's
so
true.
Maybe it's just the
See, now
original
she's
elevator.
pushed all
Yeah,
the
she
buttons.
presses all the buttons.
Holy shit. She's just trying to get the fucking door closed.
Also, the elevator could be broken.
Right. Because it's in a very old building. Like when I got in it and the door shut, I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like this is not the one.
And it's a teeny, tiny little elevator.
It is. And it's when it starts moving, you're very aware of how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a creepy video. She's singing? Is she explaining something?
I don't know. Right. She could be talking to someone who's standing over there.
That we just never see. This is definitely one of the weirdest things. Mm-hmm. And it is. I'm glad that I didn't, because when you guys you should watch it, I'm like, I'm not watching this in a fucking
don't watch
hotel.
it while you stay in the hotel. No.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't. This is fucking weird. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'll put a link to this.
And they don't have the hallway.
Fuck. Oh, here, the next one up is a student doctor's answer to Alyssa Land's unexplained disappearance.
Yeah, I feel like you could really fall down the internet rabbit hole of this story.
And I'm going to now. Mm-hmm. With the help of some THC. Not now, but
Not
later.
now, but later, yeah.
That's interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That's the strangest.
Very creepy.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I think so.
Have you ever experienced anything that you're like, okay, that was probably a ghost?
Not really.
But yet you still believe?
Yeah. I'm not 100% convinced. But I feel like maybe there are still, maybe people pass away and there are still their presences around. I don't know if I necessarily believe in like, this ghost is haunting this building and is angry.
Right. I think that I don't know, I have a lot of theories on it about the afterlife and purgatory and whatever the middle ground is, whatever you want. Because I think purgatory was recently dismissed. Well, not recently. Recently it was dismissed several years ago by Catholicism. I think.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they got rid of it.
I don't particularly stay up to date on Catholicism.
You think I probably should since I'm the Pope, but I don't remember. I think it was dismissed or it was let go and then maybe it was brought back. It's kind of like Pluto in our solar system. Yeah. I think it's like maybe it is, maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not. We don't know.
Not enough science to say one way or the other.
Yeah.
I'm talking and trying to do something at the same time.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that. Trying to have a conversation while pressing buttons on my phone.
Here's an interesting one because I keep questions loaded.
Okay.
If you could go back into time,
yes.
If you could go back in time, what age would you go back to and why?
Is this me now is going to visit me then? Or is this I'm just going back in time?
You were able to go back in time. So someone comes up and says you can go back to any age you want.
And be that age and
then proceed back forward.
Do I retain the knowledge that I have now?
Sure.
I want to maybe like 10.
Why 10?
That was such a fucking disaster of a child. And I was just so very wrapped up in myself.
Okay.
And so very afraid of, like both very anticipatory of and afraid of the future. Like I very much remember having a meltdown on my 10th birthday because I didn't want to turn 10. It's like it's too old. I don't want to be 10.
Because you were just double digits suddenly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had this whole meltdown about being 10, and part of it had to do with the fact that I was a gymnast, and it meant I was aging up a category, and I didn't want to do that. I was happy where I was. But it was just like I had this whole thing about like, I was a mess. I was a disaster child.
That sucks at 10 years old. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, my anxiety was kind of out of control as a kid, and I didn't know what it was then, and I didn't have any coping mechanisms to deal with it then. Right. And then, like, puberty started, so that makes everything that much worse. And so if I could retain the knowledge that I have now of, like, oh, you're going to grow up and be functional.
Right.
I could perhaps do middle and high school better.
Right.
And be less miserable.
Do you think it would, though? And I ask this only because it's like when I was dealing with anxiety, and I was a couple of years where I was like, excuse me, heavily medicated with the stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I say heavily medicated, I was daily taking stuff.
Yeah.
And no matter how much I told myself or anyone else told me that it was going to be okay, I couldn't, when it was happening, there was no talk down. Like there was.
Sure. Yes. In this fantasy scenario.
Okay.
I feel inside that it will be okay.
Gotcha. Okay. 10 years old. That sucks. 10 years old. I don't really remember 10. You know what I've realized with having a kid is that I've forgotten or I can't recall a lot of memories at certain younger ages. And then when he hits the age and goes through the certain things, I'm like,
oh,
I
shit,
remember. And like the whole shit comes flooding back. It's crazy how it all shows back up. But until then, I'm like, I don't remember anything. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of crazy. That's it, unless you want me just to keep randomly asking questions. I mean, we can, well, I mean, that's
not. I don't know. Now I'm going to interview you.
Oh, you're going to ask me questions?
I'm going to ask you questions. I don't know what they are, though.
Oh, I was like, oh, shit, I'm
Fine.
nervous.
How did you get into BDSM?
I started out as a
from the beginning.
I was going to say, I started as a very young man. And when I was figuring out what sex was, I realized that there were certain things that I enjoyed doing. And not like when I first started doing it. Because when I first started doing it, there's that awkward, I don't know what's going on.
Sure, what's this thing? I don't know how it works.
Where do I put this thing? And
What's this? I don't.
Choked in it, threw up again.
Yeah, exactly.
But once I started delving into it, I started realizing that being more aggressive was something that made me happy, but being aggressive consensually.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have said consensually aggressive. I just knew that
you didn't
it
know
was
the word.
rapey.
Yeah.
Rape play kind of thing. And I didn't need it, but I enjoyed it. And then the kind of tussling around was fun. That always seemed to be like that always led to me with blue balls, because I got a lot more excited when it was the playfulness. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, well, shit, that's not going anywhere.
Right.
But once I got older and I came into my sexuality and I was fucking on a regular basis, I guess. It wasn't even sex. I remember having these fantasies about, and I told a very select few of people that I have this fantasy and I want to have this person tied up. And I don't care about the bondage, but I just need them not to go anywhere.
Right.
And I want to do horrible things to them. And it wasn't about the act of hurting them as much as it is the thing. And this is what always fucked with everybody when I told them these stories was, and then I want to look them in the face and watch them cry. And I want to, and talk to them. And I want to hear why, tell me why it hurts. Tell me why you're scared. And I want to see them go through this emotion. But then afterwards, we're good.
Yeah.
Wipe it off. Let's go get a beer. Everything's cool. And it didn't matter about boy or girl or bondage or not. I just wanted to, and again, it wasn't even about the torture. It was watching someone suffer. And I was very particular about who I told, because you go saying that in your 20s to people who especially think boy, girl, missionary sex.
Oh yeah.
So, I started dating the fetish model, and she went to work for Kink.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up getting in the industry, was going to work with Kink and seeing, I was like, wait a minute, there's this, when she was doing fetish modeling anyway.
Yeah.
So I saw it and I was like, I like this, but it was just her getting tied up or her putting on boots or gloves or stockings or what, all the fetishes.
All the stuff, yeah.
And she went and worked for Kink for the first time. And I sat down and I'm like, tell me everything. And she's telling me about it. And I'm like, and I'm working at a sex store at the time.
Okay.
So, and we had like the videos and all the toys.
Yeah.
So I went in and used my discount and I'm like, I'll take this flogger and I'll take this. Right. And I went back to the apartment and her and I played. And I found out, I started figuring out where my role was, which surprisingly wasn't always on top. And I don't mind taking the abuse every once in a while. I think it's kind of, it's nice. I think it's what everybody, it's nice to say, here, you do it.
Me.
Yeah, I'm going to relax. You do this.
You do me. Yeah.
And that at some point that I realized that there's everything that I'd always fantasized about wasn't fucked up and weird. It was BDSM.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It was BDSM. It was consensual torture.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I'm home.
Yes. There's a word for this weird thing that I'm into.
Yeah. And now everyone, because of the beauty of Facebook, is everyone sees me and now they see what I'm doing and they're like, that's what you were talking about. Okay. Because they all, I think, thought on a level of like Dexter. Like I was going to start killing motherfuckers.
Cut off people's fingers and stuff. Yeah, I often wonder if the very, very, very select few people I told that I was into spanking, because at the time growing up, it was very specifically a spanking fetish.
Okay.
That sort of developed into this, like, oh, I like this other stuff too. It was spanking and bondage, but it was very much a spanking fetish.
Right.
And these people that I told see me now. I don't talk to any of them. See me now and they're like, oh.
There it is.
There it is. There it is. We shouldn't have made fun of her.
Now with the spanking, let me ask you this. Is it hand, paddle, flogging, or is it anything across the ass, or is it a specific thing across the ass?
It is not, I mean, I could sit here and tell you which implements I like over other implements, but that is not what it's about. It's about the act of, it's about I like the pretending to be in trouble.
Okay.
I don't like it to be when I'm in real trouble.
Okay.
I like the pretending to be in trouble. I like the age play dynamic. I like the pretending to be humiliated by the thing dynamic.
Okay. Now, age play, like it just being an older man, or do you like to go all the way into the daddy play?
I go into the daddy play.
Okay. That's hot. Now, is it OTK? Like, is it very much across the lap? The skirt comes up?
Yep.
There's something super, super hot about that. And I found out, in my experience, I found that people that are into that are, that's it. You don't need anything else.
Nothing else. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember Sergeant Major? That was, he would come to the armory, and when he would stay on it, like he'd be there for several times. And when I was running the upper floor, he's like, do you mind if I come up? And he always brought because he was a large man, so you didn't have just random clothes laying around for him. And he would bring in his own outfit, and he would show up, and I'd let him pick the girls because they all knew him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is Sarge, blah, blah, blah. And that was his thing. And he was as much into the aftercare and the daddy as he was the actual spanking.
Yeah.
And every one of the girls were like, as big as he is, I expected him to fucking break my ass, like fuck me up severely. And it was more about the act and the play than it was inflicting excessive pain.
Yeah, it doesn't actually particularly need to hurt. I mean, it inherently hurts, but it doesn't need to be like this incredibly hard thing.
Right.
If it's not, I'm going to pretend that it is. You know, I'm going to complain about it and move around as if it is.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It's about the thing. It is to me, like, spanking play is separate from BDSM play. Like, they're two different activities that I engage in.
I agree with that. Because, like I said, the people that I've seen that are really into it, they don't need to be tied up. There's that specific thing.
Yeah, it's very much like a fetish.
I think I started paying attention to more fetishes. No, we did this thing, and I learned, because obviously there's the OTK where the feet are on one side, the head's on the other, and then there's the butt, and you do the spanking. In LA, some of my friends that were like, hey, do you know how to do it this way? And the only way I've ever heard it called is just the LA style. And I introduced it when I was doing the upper floor. And what it is you sit on me in my lap, straddle my legs, and then you go forward. Wheelbarrow. Is that what it is?
Wheelbarrow.
And then you have both hands, full access, and then you have the vagina. And of course, if it's done just right,
real nice.
It looks real nice, and it feels nice if the grinding and she's flexible enough. I did that. I think the last time I officially did that was on a sadistic rope shoot, I think. And I had my foot out, one of my feet sticking out as I'm just going to town, and her hands are tied in front of her because I need her to be able to support, not fall on her face.
Right.
And I start feeling something weird on one of my boots. And I look down, and no one told her, just all on her own, and she is making love. And at this point I'd already experienced boot blacking and all this other stuff. So, and she, that was her thing. Like, she was like, there's a big leather boot and I'm going to lick this fucking thing clean.
It's in my face.
Yeah. It was hot.
Yeah.
Super hot.
Yeah.
So it's wheelbarrow.
I've never heard that called LA style or been specifically related to Los Angeles. It's just like, that's a wheelbarrow.
Right. And like I said, I learned it in LA. So I just, that's what, and I was like, what is this, just OTK? And they're like, well, it's LA OTK.
Interesting.
But you also, off camera, you and I have discussed some of the people. So
Sure.
Consider the source.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
that.
So like, I've encountered it doing like spanking movies.
Right.
And there's like fetish models, and then there are spanking models.
Okay.
And they really just do spanking videos. And maybe they do like a little bit of diaper stuff because those worlds often coincide, or they'll do a little bit of like maybe like a vibrator kind of stuff, but they don't really get into the like other fetishes. They just are like primarily spanking models. And there's a lot of them that don't even do full nude because that's not what it's about.
Right.
So they don't need to get naked, or they'll take their butt out, but they won't take their shirts off.
No, the butt comes out. Does it just come down enough to show the ass and try and still hide the vagina?
Exactly, and they don't do spread legs.
Okay.
So I often get booked for spanking movies where they're like, oh, can we do a rectal thermometer? They'll be like, sure.
But that's not spanking.
It was part of the spank. It's part of the like punishment.
Oh, okay. Now
so
it makes sense.
It'll be like in the middle of the spanking.
Okay.
Or like, will you do a wheelbarrow position? Because a lot of spanking models don't feel comfortable doing something so genital focused.
Right.
Like whatever, they're already on the internet.
Right.
I don't care.
Already there.
It's already out there. You can see it.
I like it because I feel like it's more sensual, but it's also, it takes it to more of a sexual level because you're straddling me and everything is exposed opposed to your legs being together and just
it's definitely more sexual for sure.
That's probably why I like it more. I'm like, there's the pussy. The pussy's right there.
I mean, it does. It looks really nice. You get
it is.
Like such a nice.
It frames up nice.
Yeah, it just emphasizes all the right parts.
It makes it easy for Disco to shoot too, because I just sit in a chair and lean back, and it's the easiest POV in the world. And to me, it's probably some of the best POV.
Point the camera.
Right. Just sit there and hold.
There it is.
And I understand. Excuse me. I understand why the men that do POV, when you're watching POV, every once in a while you get the head movement or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you can't sit there and do this and have that right there and not be like,
Hey.
I gotta see.
Yeah.
As I bump my mic with
I
my
feel
hat.
like there are a couple of male performers that like to do the like lay back, eyes closed, I'm in another world, my dick is hard, don't touch me, don't look at me, don't make eye contact with me, I'm in another world.
Right.
But that's just like a couple of guys.
Right. Because most of them want to see.
Most of them would like to see.
I like that there's a, sorry, my throat's all cloggy. There's a couple guys who I've sat there and watched, and I think it's cute. It's endearing because I've been doing this for so long. But you see them laying there and the face starts happening and their fist ball up. And I'm like, oh, no, you can do it. And I'm like cheering for them, like, you're okay. You can do this. You're okay. But you see, like, and they're not
yet, hold it in.
And they'll catch eye contact with you. And then you're just like, you're okay.
Yes, you got it. You can do it.
And the last thing you want to do is look at a male performer and give him a thumbs up when you know he's that aroused, because then you're like, no, don't do that part.
Sure, because the thumbs up could mean
Go.
good to go. Do
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah.
But it's like I said, I've always thought that it was a cute thing, and I've seen several guys do it, and it's that whole, like, they're looking anywhere except because they are that aroused at that exact moment that they're like, I need to, oh, look, there's JP has a big pile of pipe over there.
Right.
That's nice.
What can I look at that's not sexy?
Right.
I watched a guy the other day slap his dick in what I would consider a relatively hard manner.
And this
And I was
wasn't
like,
Tommy Pistol.
It was not Tommy Pistol.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
Love
someone. I love him too. It wasn't someone I normally associate with doing something like that. It was very plainly this feels good. I need it to not feel good for a second.
You know how funny it would have been if he would have slapped himself and not known that about himself, and just then it was done. Fuck, that didn't work.
Surprise!
Gotcha, bitch.
Oh shit! That actually would have been hysterical
That would have.
in this particular moment. But I feel like it must be something he does all the time. Like it was very just much like he pulled out, he slapped it, he put it back in. It was like a very calculated, like this feels good, but we're not ready to be done with the scene yet. I need to not come yet, but this feels good, and I really like this girl, so I'm just gonna take a little break.
And slap it.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Fuck it. Did it work?
I think so.
Fuck, good for him then. I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, if I get to that point with me, and I'm not a trained professional like these guys are, and pulling out and slapping it, at that
It
point,
doesn't matter.
any more contact is just making it worse. Because
It doesn't matter what it is.
Because I'm like, I'm gonna go, I'm cool, and it gets to that point that everyone makes fun of, where it's like, don't move, don't breathe. Oh, fuck, you moved. There's none of this, this preparation or foresight of, okay, it's coming, so slow down or take your break or slap it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck, it's your fault. You moved.
You moved.
Yep. You were
moved, it
alive. I
happened.
felt your heart throb through your pussy, and now it's your fault. Typical fucking Dom, right?
God damn it! Why did you have to be alive?
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you? Well, maybe the cold would have. Oh, well, who knows?
But also, it's not your job.
Exactly. And that's why it's not my job. I've thought about it for a while and was like, of all the perks that come along with fucking the beautiful co-stars that I have, there's also, that seems like a lot of stress. And but I'm also very sympathetic to the guys. Like, I'm like, I know that I know what I do, and I can get into what I'm doing enough to where I'm like, I need to walk away from this girl for a minute, because I'll turn into a teenage boy and be like, oh shit, now it's in my pants. It's never happened, never. But so fuck you. But there's like you get to a point where you're super aroused, and all of a sudden it's like, fuck, I gotta push back. So I couldn't even imagine like fucking.
Right, and so now it's your job when you are super aroused and really into the girl, but also when you're not.
And that's where I think all of us earn our money at that point, because we've all done it. We've all had to do it and get in there and be like, okay, I'm gonna make the best of it.
Yeah. But also, you in my personal life, I have mostly encountered, with exceptions, but mostly I find that the brain thinking required to tie is different than erection.
Yeah.
And so, like, you could be super, super, super fucking turned on by this girl, but you're using this part up here.
Right.
So this part doesn't want to do its thing right now.
Right.
And now you've got to be a male performer and have a boner.
Yeah, and that seems like that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work.
And I think that's why I got lucky, is because I can do the thing, and then I can get in and build myself up to where I don't have to walk in and have a fucking cock of steel.
Right. And then it stays hard the whole time.
Yeah, mine can fluctuate throughout the time, and no one
knows.
Hopefully.
Someone out there, I am certain that someone out there, you have a fan. I don't know if they're male or female, but you for sure have a fan who has watched a bunch of scenes.
Right.
Watching your crotch.
Oh, I'm sure. For
sure. I'm certain that this has happened.
And I couldn't tell you if it were boy or girl either. That was a cool thing. That was a nice stat that I found out when we were still at the Armory, that they looked at all the crossover of like sex and submission crossover to hogtie and hogtie to whipped ass, and that supposedly the numbers they showed me that my sites that I appeared on had the largest amount of crossover from gay sites than any other male performer sites. I'll take that shit all day. Hey boys,
I wonder why that is.
Because I'm goddamn handsome.
Yes, of course.
I don't know what it is, but I mean it's.
But
so
cool.
Who knows? Yeah. It's nice.
But yeah.
But there's also the disadvantage again of me being overly excited most of the time, and if I've had this happen, there's several girls. If it's close enough, they can get their mouth close enough to it, or their hands. They're gonna do everything they can.
They're gonna touch it.
And I'm like, this is kind of
oh, take it away.
Don't you
that
do that?
That is not for you.
This is about to be your fault again.
That is not for you. I am not paying you for that.
Yeah,
you keep that to yourself.
If I want you to have it, I'll bring it back. But until then, you just sit over there and be good.
I also feel like there's often fans who watch the scenes, and I don't know if like the girl is on her back or something, and you stand next to her so that you're near her face, and they're like, "Oh, is she gonna do it? Is she gonna reach out and is she gonna try to put her mouth on it? What's she gonna do?"
Right.
Like I'm sure that's also a thing.
And it's hot. And
it is hot, yeah.
Anytime I found that if I have someone hanging upside down in a suspension and I grab through the nipple thing and pull close, and I can sit there and I'm doing the triple chin look down, and I'm looking, and probably 60% of the time the mouth pops open every time I pull. If there's not a gag in there, their mouth pops open. And of course, then I have fuel. I'm like, you think I'm going to put this in your mouth? And they just look at me and smile. And they're like, oh, no. Maybe.
Are their mouths opening because you're pulling on their nipples? So
it's not the owl.
Is it just the like?
They see it and they smile.
And they're there and they're like, this is what I do now.
Yeah, they see that. You see the smile come in, and then their mouth opens, like, give it to me. And so I've teased several of them, and I'll get this close.
Yeah.
And the tongue will come out and wiggle, and I'm just like, no, wrong scene, bitch.
Not for you.
Not
but
today.
Also, I think that's hot. Again, in my personal life, I'm super, super selective with people I play with, not for money these days, because I've had enough mediocre sex to last for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I'm not going to go do that off camera unless I'm really into the person,
right.
And then it's not going to be mediocre.
Right. It better not be. Anyway.
It better not be. Yeah, it better not be.
God damn
but
it.
I find that I will often have conversations with people in negotiation about like, I don't want to have sex. If we're going to do this very heavy bondage scene, I'd like you to not pay attention to my vagina.
Right.
Don't take your dick out. Like, I'd be glad to have sex with you. It has nothing to do with having sex with you. It's that I am often tied up and fucked.
Right.
And it's nice to not always have that happen.
And I think, to me, that's the way you were talking about earlier, the way the spanking is different from
BDSM.
regular BDSM.
Yeah.
I feel like BDSM, to me, is different from sex. I think that they clearly can both coincide and they work well together when needed. But like with what I do, in my head, there's part of me that's like, it'd probably be cool to finish off now that I'm finished beating her and she's had her orgasms at the end of the day, to just go in there and get my 90 seconds in her mouth or pussy and be done. But at the same time, I feel like it's a deeper connection than just, hey, you want to go crawl in the bed and fuck for however long and be done.
Yeah.
I think it's more intimate.
Think so.
I feel like
100% think so.
And I think keeping it that way is kind of nice too. Saying, okay, we're going to keep this here and then put this over here. And
yeah.
And again, not that they can't coincide, but I like what I do. I think it's a different thing.
I like keeping them separate, and I like mixing them up. I think they're both good, but it is different.
Right. It's not a bad different. It's just
No,
different.
it's not a bad different, but it is a very different. It's a different thing to do all of it without involving penetration.
Right. When you say that, do you mean like zero penetration? Like don't even play, no vibrators, no penetration, just let's do a heavy scene and be done. No orgasm reward or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't need to have I mean, I might have an orgasm, but I don't need to be conventionally stimulated.
Right. Well, you were one of the few girls that I've ever worked with that does the paingasm thing.
Yeah. So it's not like denying myself pleasure or denying myself an orgasm.
Right.
It's that, I don't need to be finger fucked or
Right.
or a toy or a vibrator. That I'll be just fine without that. Thanks.
I'm good right here.
I'm good. Thanks. I don't need it.
Ashley Lane.
Yeah.
Damn it. She is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while she'll show up and she's like, can you just not? And I'm like,
Not
we're,
do it, yeah.
we're doing porn. Like I have
Yes, exactly. We're making a product. We're doing a thing. And the it's going on the internet, and the people gonna watching.
Right.
Want to see the thing.
They want to see the thing.
Yeah.
But there are times that it's, I don't think that it has to be as much. Like there's some girls who come in here and they're like, I like the tease in the Nile. I like the forced orgasm. And then there's others that are like, can we not? So it's one of those, I will beat you. And now for the gratuitous finish, here's one and we walk away.
Yeah.
And I kind of try and play like that just because it's, if you don't want it, I don't want to force it.
Sure.
I taught a class recently here in Vegas and with our friend that'll be here soon.
Yes.
And I had someone in the front who I guess just recently got turned on to kink and never even heard of kink.
Okay.
And she was like, you did this scene and it was titled 65 Minutes of Hell. And you did it with Roxanne Ray. Mm-hmm. And she was like, by far of all the things I've watched on kink, she was like, because of the way you tied her up and you didn't stop for over an hour. She was like, that was the hottest thing I've ever seen. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Which I think it is, but because it's more of a, when I gave her orgasms, it was to give me a break so I could catch my breath and to let her recuperate from what I had done. But it was a quick, here's 30, 40 seconds of a vibrator because she was so overly stimulated.
She didn't need any more than that.
Right. And I'd get it and I would still take my time walking away, take my time walking back because I'm like patting sweat off and all this other
you
stuff.
take a little break.
But it was hot. I think maybe I should do more of those.
I did a live hogtied with Mogul.
Okay.
And I still to this day count it as one of like the most fun scenes that I've ever done because we didn't stop.
It's one of the non-stop ones?
Yeah, we did a non-stop. I came out of bondage very briefly in between positions.
Okay.
But it was like maybe the chest harness didn't necessarily come off.
Okay.
So it was just like a very quick, like I would come down from a suspension and go back into a different tie.
So it would keep you in the same headspace.
Yeah, there was no break.
Okay.
And it was incredibly fun.
We'll have to do one.
Let's do one.
Because I know we have, sorry, I got that a little too close. We've done, we did the last time you were here where we got super heavy. And I think that in the progression of what we've done, because God knows we've done a lot, is I think that's the next thing is to, especially.
Yeah, let's do one without a break.
Yeah. And it's usually pretty basic because when I do it, I'm going to it's probably going to be a spread eagle on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be, I have access to all of this and I'm going to take advantage
I'm going
of
to do stuff.
Head to toe.
Yeah.
And until you are basically when I'm like, okay, I have to stop or she's going to tap, which I don't know. I've never seen that level of you yet. So.
You and I, as far as I can remember, have never gotten to that place.
But there's today. How's that for a segue?
Yeah, let's talk. What time is it? Let's talk about today, and then I bet she's going to be here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to shoot a scene with me and you and Victoria Vox.
Yes.
And you're going to do stuff to her and I. Mm-hmm. You're gonna top both of us, and we're both on Thanksgiving break, so we're going to get fucked up.
Severely.
And then her and I are going to have sex.
That's going to be so hot.
And we're going to poke each other's bruises and stuff. And I'm really excited to do that.
I might have to sit out here on set and watch that part.
I feel like that's a fair trade.
That's not bad, right?
Yeah, I also think that she'll probably be okay with that.
Yeah. And we're going to have lots of camera angles. So everything's going to be good. Because we're going to have 3 cameras, I think, going all together.
I think 2.
Just 2.
Unless we're going to do a third. We can also do a third.
Because I think...
if we want to like run a cell phone or something, we could do... A
maybe.
third.
I don't know.
We brought 2.
I was going to say you two, and I think Victoria was talking about having someone shoot also.
Yeah, I think he's going to use one of our cameras.
Gotcha.
That's why we brought the two
Okay.
matching cameras so that they'll cut together really nicely.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of camera angles. We don't have any other, as far as I know, we don't have any other plans besides what I just said. Like, that's the plan.
Right.
We're going to do stuff.
Tie you two up, and then we're just going to go.
We're going to do stuff, yeah.
Until you either, I don't, and here's the thing, I don't think either one of you are going to tap.
I don't think so.
I've never seen you tap. I've never seen her tap. I've seen her check out when I put her through this school of submission, day 3, the heavy work.
Yeah.
And then I tied her to like a scaffolding of some sort and then took the dragon tail and just went to town, and all of a sudden she just stopped.
Yeah.
No more responding.
Yeah.
I walked in with a cattle prod. Fuck, she's still not responding.
Yeah.
Vibrator.
Nothing, yeah.
And that's the closest that I've ever seen her. And I wouldn't say breaking, but more of just checking out.
Sure. In a not necessarily not like a good break.
Right. Because when it was over with, we untied her, and I carried her over and sat her down, and she kind of, you watched her kind of come out of the cloud. Yeah. And she's like, "Fuck, is everything okay?" And I was like, "It's good." And she starts looking around, and she's like, "Why am I sitting down?" I was like, "Girl, you just sit here and drink this water."
Yeah. You drink this. Here's some apple juice.
When do you think? Because we're getting the content, we're all gonna have the content.
Yeah.
When do you think should we coordinate?
Probably.
Like I say, we should talk about this probably off.
We should
air.
actually. Yeah. We should, the 3 of us, coordinate and make a plan.
Because I think this, me personally, and this isn't gloating, but I think with having the 3 of us doing this might be, I'm comfortable saying this is monumental. Like, this is going to be a big deal.
I think people are going to fucking love it.
Yeah. Because having you and having her and then having me and going, because I'm going to go the extra mile. Like, I'm going to stretch. I'm going to take ibuprofen for the hand swelling. Like, I'm going to, but I think this is probably going to be, no, I don't think, I'm almost 100% positive this is probably going to be more intense than anything that I've ever shot, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal.
The goal is, really my goal is to just do something that's really beautiful.
Right.
And different. Because, like, sure, there's plenty of scenes where there's one person topping 2 people.
Right.
But I feel like Victoria and I have now worked together a couple of times, and like, we talked about it, and we were like, we want to do this thing, and then, like, we've never seen anybody shoot the girls having sex after all of the stuff, and, like, we would like to do that. That sounds good.
Right.
So
now, is the plan to capture, sorry to interrupt you, is the plan to capture you coming out of the rope and going straight into the sex? Or
I think that's what I want to do.
I think
we should also talk to her about it, but I think that would be really great.
Right. Because just thinking about it, like, to me, that sounds hot to watch.
And we'll just, like, fuck on the floor.
Because that's the thing that a lot of people miss is when you guys come out of the bondage and to see, like, that, because you're, what's the word I'm looking for? You're very primal at that point. Like, you're so stimulated and so in that space that it's like you, and because we're like, cut, and then we take you out, and then you settle in, and you get the
right. I don't want to, like, take a break and bring in a piece of furniture, or, like, take a break and, go to the bed, like, any of that, like, fix the make, like, none of that. I want it to just be like this headspace right into this sex.
I think it'll be hot.
Yeah.
How long do you think we're gonna go?
I have no idea.
We're just gonna go.
I think we're just gonna go. I mean, we'll talk to her about it too. I don't personally have a certain amount of time.
Okay.
I don't think we need to do the, like, normal shoot of, like, this position, then this position. I think we'll just do a position.
And then untie for sex.
The stuff untie for sex.
Right. I think that's hotter.
Yeah.
That kind of plays it more into what I was talking about earlier with it's like, it's just go. Because if it has its place, and there was, to go back a little bit, there was a member on Hogtied right after I took it over. And of course I had just taken it over. So I'm like, I need to flex. I need to pull out all the stops and do all the bondage. And I had a member who complained weekly that said, I don't know what's going on. They were clearly the casting couch fans. That's what they liked. They liked Lokai and the style that he did of the casting couch. And every fucking week they would say things like, oh God, here we go again. JP just showing how good he is with fucking rope. And I'm like, That's my job. That's what I'm paid to do.
That's why I'm being paid by this prestigious company.
Yeah, I'm paid to come in here and
job.
show off my fucking rope, not do a
Sure,
couch.
but I get it. It's very different than the what Lokai was doing.
Right. But they complained, and I was like, but it's hogtied.
It's
Hogtied.
It's a bondage website, guys.
Yeah, even when Lokai was there, though, Lokai had a casting couch thing that he did to fill in the blanks or whatever, but he still did showing off rope. And I was just like, but it was the weirdest thing.
Well, he did like the casting couch with the new girls.
Right.
It was like, oh, this is your first time on this site. Let's see what you can do.
Right. Which had its place.
Yeah.
But it wasn't hogtied.
Right. It was just a different, all of the directors have different styles.
Right.
It's a different thing.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So let's see.
Let's
Should we wrap this up?
let's wrap it up. Yeah, I have to pee.
Okay. Let's do. You got time for some advice for these people? Because
Sure.
last time I asked you advice,
Yes.
and you said you did the advice around what we were discussing that day.
Okay.
So same thing. Advice that you would give to someone that's coming into the industry for the first time. What would you tell them? Boy or girl, or any gender for that matter.
What do I want to say today? Today I want to say pay attention to social media. Make social media profiles on all of the places that will let you have one.
Right.
Pay attention to the rules of those places so that you don't get your account shut down. And do the build a brand.
Right.
Build your name and build a following and build a brand so that you become recognizable and that people know who you are and what you do so that when they want to see the things that you do, they know where to find you.
Right. And if you retire, don't delete
it.
Save it.
Save it. You can deactivate things.
Right.
Save it just in case because you never know.
Yeah. Because everybody's like, I'm done.
I'm done and I'm back.
Shit, I'm back.
Yeah.
And now everyone that said you'll be back was right.
Yeah. Which is another piece of advice is maybe don't ever announce that you're retiring.
Right.
You just fade away. You don't need to have this big celebratory announcement because you never know. And
eating
life
crow
is
sucks.
funny. Yeah.
Having anything thrown back in your face. And God knows the internet that we have today, that's what people do the best
I thought
at.
you were retired.
What happened?
What happened? What went wrong? Yeah, just shit. Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, trolls. All of you.
All of you.
Alrighty. That's it. Got anything else?
No, that's good.
All right.
Good. Yeah.
This was awesome.
Cool.
Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, let's do it.
See ya.
Bye. I don't know which camera to wave to.
All of them.